Hey YouTube, this is Spoonie. Um, what's the deal? I'm doing a comparison. I'm doing a little comparison here between the Xbox 360 controller versus the Xbox One controller. Is it actually an improvement over the Xbox 360 controller? And well, we'll see. We'll see at the end of this video. First of all, guys, I'd just like to say, like, there has been a lot of talk about, the Xbox One controller being like a step down to the Xbox 360 controller. But truth is, if I be honest with you, both controllers have seen improvements during the console's life cycle, and I will cover those as well. Okay, then let's start off with the Xbox 360 controller. So with this controller, I mean, like, I've had this controller for God knows how long now. And this is like one of my most favorite controllers of all time, man. I mean, it feels absolutely perfect. I love the bumpers, the analogs as well. They're so perfectly well placed. I can only hold it with one hand, and due to the nature of me holding the camera here, but no, man, this controller is absolutely perfect. I absolutely love it. Though it does have its flaws though, and there are some things that I dislike about this controller. So the first and most obvious thing that I hate about this controller is, well, one of the most obvious things is the D-pad. I hate the D-pad. When I'm playing fighting games like Street Fighter or Dead or Alive or something like that, sometimes I just have trouble pulling out some moves, like, you know, things like this. That would be like, the command to do like Ryu's Shinkaradugin or things like that. It just feels so fiddly, especially when you see like the curvature around here as well. That again muffs me up a bit, so I'll just get into focus. Yeah, see, that again just like muffs me up when I'm trying to do my moves. It's really, and it feels so spongy as well. I hate the D-pad. It's annoying. But there you go. Second feud that I have about this controller as well. If I get it into distance, get it into focus. There we go. The X button. Sorry, it's going back out of focus. The X button distance from the pause button. That's really annoying. I'm playing like like whenever I'm playing Dead or Alive, I do like to change the controls, and I like to, I'm a Dreamcast veteran, so I prefer it to have the Dreamcast controls. So therefore, I prefer to have punch here, kick here, to counter reversal here, and to throw here. So whenever I go to punch someone, I accidentally go here, and you can see from the tip, like, bring it into distance. You can see here from the tip of my thumb is accidentally about to touch the pause button, and it really is irritating. Like, you're about to do like a hit, like, oh yeah, I got this hit right here for you, especially when you're playing in couch 2-player, and then you go smack, and then you accidentally hit the pause button, and it's like, oh shit. So that's annoying as well. But other than that though, the rest of the controller is just absolutely flawless. I love this controller. This is like the best controller I've ever held. I used to love the GameCube controller off like anything, and thought the PS2 controller was probably one of the best, but this controller came along, and oh my god, is it so good. I just wish there was a few things that they could improve with this controller, and it'll be absolutely perfect. The bumpers feel absolutely brilliant. The triggers feel great. You know, you get some people complaining about, you know, the battery pack, but, you know, it doesn't bother me at all. So, you know, that's the Xbox One, the 360 controller. It feels absolutely comfortable in my hand and simple to hold. Okay, now, okay, just before I move on to the One controller, there has been slight improvements that Microsoft has made with the Xbox 360 controller, and that is basically like, well, they've improved the durability, you know. You can hear the sound, it's absolutely solid, and it's just much more durable. It's probably designed to withstand a bit more punishment from like angry gamers or whatever have you, you know. And also the radio, the radio frequency from controller to console, because it runs on a much faster, higher radio frequency. It has lesser latency than the early 360 controllers. So, you know, well done on Microsoft from that. Oh, and furthermore, the guide button has had a nice shiny new redesign as well. So, you know, it just makes the 360 controller looks that much more nicer. Okay, now moving on to the One controller. Now, this controller again is really, you know, let me just bring it into focus again. Right here, this is the One controller. Yes, it's the Halo design one, as of from the what's his name again, Sergeant Locke Spartan from Halo 5. And you know, you can see it's got a nice design to it. But this new type controller is now the standard Xbox One controller. So like, you know, you can get these in the default black. I understand that if you were to buy the 1TB systems, you would also get this controller as well. And I will go over the new features of this controller just in a second. So first of all, this controller feels really, really comfortable, and I mean very comfortable. I love the tethered grips as well. Let me just bring it into focus here again. Let me see. That's a bit too close. Okay, I don't think I can bring it into. Oh, here we go. So yeah, as you can see here, you can see the beautiful tethered grips here on the controller with such a great design. And it just makes the controller, I don't think you can make it out, to be honest. You could just see like it just basically gives you like that firm grip when you're like, you know, when you're pushing it. Like, look at how my thumb just rolls on the grips. And also that concave design as well. They had that on the 360 controller actually, but you can see, like, you know, it's a bit more fatter, exercising those tethered grips on there, and your thumb just rolls around it, giving it a much more sense of comfort. Another thing I do love about this controller as well is, like, you know, how it feels in your hands. It feels very familiar to the 360 controller, but this time it just feels a bit more lighter, and you feel like you've got more freedom with this controller as well. It still has that good weight to it, like it feels good in your hands, you know. And you know, again, the analog buttons are right, you know, they're perfectly well placed. So you know, Microsoft, keep that up, it's good. But where I really do have much love for this controller is that it does correct everything that I hated about the 360 controller. So basically, gone is that D-pad. So now they have switched for a more simple design. It's a plus D-pad, much better than the 360 one, and as you can hear, it's quite clicky. You know, another feud that they've improved from the 360 controller that I'm really enjoying as well is, look at the significant distance from the pause button to the X button. I could just randomly hit this in attempt to blatantly try and hit it, and it's just next to impossible. You know, I'd have to blatantly go for the menu button than just try to hit both the menu button and the X button. If I wanted to do so blatantly, I'd have to do it like that, and that's like quite a stretch for your thumb. So therefore, like, if I'm gonna be playing like video games and I'm not looking, I'm gonna hit it like this, and look, still a significant distance away from the pause button. I'm not even touching it. The 360 controller, you know, I'd accidentally like put it here, and you know, it's just significantly closer. Yeah, it's quite irritating when you're playing a fighting game, man, and you know, you're gonna put out that Hadouken and you accidentally press the pause button and the game pauses, and it's like, oh, god damn it, and then you gotta hit resume, and you probably might lose your composure a bit. But yeah, oh, furthermore, you can see that the pause button has now been renamed from start to menu, so that's another thing. You could say another improvement is the fact that they've taken away the battery pack as well, so no complaints from anyone from there. It still uses batteries. I mean the 360 and the one, they both use AAA batteries or battery charge packs. I'm using battery charge packs. You can see here that I've put my one on the docking station, hence why there's exposure to the, you know, connectors of the battery here. Guys, if I be honest with you, like, you know, using batteries for your controller, there's like a plus and a negative side. You know, they're both 50-50. They both have their negatives, they both have their positives. You know, it's like Marmite, whether you either like them or you hate them. But yeah, though it is an improvement, the fact that they've built the battery pack into the body so that you have more breathing space for your fingers. And you know, like I said, I never had any trouble with the exposed battery pack at the 360. It never interrupted my comfort. But you know, this is a controller that is gonna fit everyone else's you know, hands. Like, you know, there's no downer with this one because there's no exposed battery pack at all. It's all built in. So you could say that's like another obvious improvement. Oh, sorry, went out of focus. So yeah, that's the one controller from there. So new improvements that they've made from this controller. Okay, I'll admit, I had numerous amounts of 360 controllers, and I've had like, well, I probably had 3. This is like my 3rd Xbox One controller here, but believe it or not, you know, the other controller I didn't break within Rage. It was because mostly for the fact that they have improved the bumpers on these. Now the bumpers from the old controller was just, oh man, it was terrible. It was just absolutely like a step back from the 360. You would not believe just how much difference these bumpers here make. And at some point, I don't think many people give them like Microsoft praise for this, but seriously, this really does improve the comfort of the controller, because like beforehand with the old bumpers, I had to configure my hand to go like here, my finger to go here, and it just brung away the comfort away from holding this controller. Now that the bumpers are, you know, improved, I can just press them like this and it feels like how it's supposed to, you know, and it feels even more comfortable than the 360 bumpers, believe it or not. You know, they just feel a bit smaller, whereas these bumpers are like bigger and they feel nicer. You know, it just feels, it's so worth it. Another improvement is, of course, the 3.5mm jack as well. So you could basically run, sorry, these on it, and you know, they work perfectly well. They work perfectly well. The audio still sounds perfectly fine, and even the game audio sounds really, really good from this controller. So like, you know, top notches to Microsoft on that. You know, well done. You can control the volume from the new interface. So you know, when you double tap the guide and you go to settings, you can, like, you know, you have quick peripheral settings from there, so you can prioritize like from game audio to chat audio. So you know, it's little things like that, but overall it's pretty damn good. Another improvement is that from the old controller, they have replaced the infrared, or should I say the IEDs, with a receiver. And that basically means that you can now, whenever you have an update for your controller, you can now wirelessly update your controller without the need of a USB cable. Now, believe it or not, I have not even used this USB cable at all. Mainly thanks to the fact that I have a docking station to charge my controller, so it's always charged whenever I need it. And also, I've never used the USB to plug into my Xbox One to update the controller, because it wirelessly updates. So, you know, it really and truly is a true wireless controller. This is like, you know, the wireless controller. I'd say another improvement over the 360 controller as well with this controller is obviously the radio frequency. Like not many people tend to talk about this one, but the 360 controller uses a radio frequency called Wi-Fi, and it's like a dedicated Wi-Fi that connects to the console, whereas this one, the one controller, uses Wi-Fi direct. Now that's significantly a much faster, much more improved connection over the original Wi-Fi controller. But you know, there's lesser latency from this controller than there is with this controller. I've noticed, like, you know, there's much more latency. You know, I remember I played the Destiny beta on the 360, and I played the Destiny beta on the One, and you know, the big difference is the One controller felt much more precise than the 360 controller. So I can officially say that this is definitely, you know, a more improved controller than the Xbox 360 from there. Overall, I really do have to hand it over to this controller. I mean, like, as much as I love this controller from back in the day, this is like, you know, to me, this was like the best controller ever. But this controller really is the daddy, man. It feels so comfortable, you know. You know, the D-pad, the improved distance from the X button to the pause button, the bumpers as well. All all of that. It just feels absolutely brilliant. By the way, I do have a Halo version of this controller, but I thought it would have been a bit unfair for this comparison because, like, you know, the Halo one, I think it's like the art from Todd McFarlane on it. That was based off the older Xbox 360 controller, so therefore I thought that would have been a bit unfair because, you know, although this one's a Halo controller, this one's like based off the newer design, and this one here is like the newer design of the Xbox 360 controller, so, you know, that's why I stuck with this one. The reason why, I mean, like, you can't, I mean, these are the new default controllers now. These ones, they're obviously not going to have this really cool Halo design on them, and I have to admit it is a gorgeous design as well. Look at that, looks absolutely nice. Look at all the decals and such. But but you know, you can get like the standard black version of these controllers as how they are, and like I believe they're being shipped with the 1 TB systems as I currently speak. So, you know, and probably sold with every like package with every other 500 gig console that's being sold on new shop shelves, like, you know, retail shop shelves as of today, and are being sold when you're buying the box version of these controllers. But overall, man, you can't beat any of these controllers. I mean, like, seriously, if you want a wireless controller for your PC, especially when you're buying like elite controller as well, like, you know, I understand like there are some gamers out there that want maximum custom control, and you can change the sticks, it's the D-pad, you can program the buttons as well. Actually, you can program these buttons here, actually, on the one's dashboard. You could just go into settings and you can reprogram these. But no, man, like I said, this is probably like, to me, this is definitely the best controller on the market ever. You know, you can get the elite version. I believe that is like the best controller ever made in the history of other controllers, whereas like this controller here, you know, I don't really need a custom controller, man. This controller is just perfect as it is. It's absolutely flawless, and I think, you know, it definitely is a step up from the 360 controller. The 360 controller is, well, hey man, I love the 360. I still love the 360 controller. It still feels comfortable in my hand, but, you know, this one significantly carries the improvements that I require as a gamer, and I have to say kudos to Microsoft. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching my video. Please rate and subscribe. I'm Spoonie82. Thanks for watching my video. Peace.